please, can you share on what's on the Startup Star community and ask the community members to join? And then also share on Facebook. Those of you, please, I'm unable to go back on my Facebook page to ask people to join. I'm sure there are a lot of people waiting to join on my Facebook page. Let me see if I can do that in 60 seconds. Let me see if I can do that in 60 seconds. But also help me do share on. Awesome. I think so. I'm going to post the link. I'm going to post the link to the post. So Paul, welcome. I'm going to post the link to the post on on WhatsApp. So you can also go and share that. So the goal is for us to get more people joining this session. Please, let's do that. Okay, so quickly, I'm going to start. We're not waiting anymore. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much, Israel. Please, can we know where you're joining from? Let's know where you're joining from. Let us know where you're joining from. Let's know what you're building as well. What's your startup? What are you building? Let's know what it is. It's unfortunate that I'm unable to share slides because we had to switch very quickly to YouTube. But I'm going to try to share the slide maybe after the session. So you could just allow me for now and just follow my thoughts as I speak through my slides, okay? Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so today we are going to be discussing the pitch deck fundamentals. In this space of time, I've run a hub. I was the pioneer manager of the campus embedded hub called RUA in University of Nigeria, Nsukka. I ran that hub for about 2 years, and in that period, I taught a lot of student founders trying to build startups. I took them to different competitions in that period, but at the same time, I was the convener of Startup South, and we had conferences, we had projects that required us to coach lots of startups. And ever since, I have supported lots of other startups building high-scale ventures across Nigeria, obviously. And a lot of what I'm going to share with you today comes from those experiences. I would love for you to pay attention and please ask questions in the chat when you have any question. I hope that helps as I go into the slide now. So the first thing I want to talk about is what is the purpose of a pitch deck? A pitch deck is essentially a document that helps you to connect with investors. The core purpose of the pitch deck is essentially to open doors. I'm sure if I asked some of you what a pitch deck is, you would say that it is used to raise money or to raise funds from investors. While that may be true, the primary focus of the pitch deck is actually to help you open the doors. The reason I say that is simple. Investors are not going to invest in your startup just by looking at your pitch deck. there are different steps, there are different processes and steps that they take before getting to make the decision to invest in your startup. I'm sure some of you know that when you send your pitch deck to investors, a lot of times when they are interested, what they do is they send you a message and ask you to come over either for a virtual pitch or they call you to a physical meeting. And when they call you for a physical meeting, they want to hear you out. And a lot of times they just want to listen out to you. And even at that, they don't make the decision to invest at that point. Even though a lot of them would obviously indicate or obviously make up their mind whether they want to invest at that point or not, eventually they still have some processes that they get to take. And some of those processes will include doing what we call due diligence, right? So at that point, they will request to see your data room. Your data room is the place where you collect all the information that the investors necessarily need to see to be able to make up their mind to invest. So when an investor has said, I'm interested, I want to invest, it's just an intention. It's just an intention to invest. They can give you a they may give you a term sheet, what we call term sheet. A term sheet is an indication to an intention to invest, right? And a lot of times the term sheet will state the details of what needs to happen before the investment will take place. All right, that's what the term sheet will do. So a lot of times when investors, you speak to investors and they're interested, they give you a term sheet. With that term sheet, the next thing they would then ask is that they want to do due diligence. And to do due diligence, they will request for access to your data room. A lot of you may not have data room, but don't worry, sometime in the future, not too distant future, we're going to be discussing your data room. We're going to be talking about your data room, and then we're going to see everything that needs to be in the data room. But what is the purpose of a pitch deck? A pitch deck, in a sense, or in simple terms, actually just opens the door for you. That's what it does. It opens the door. So you want to make the pitch deck as impactful, as memorable as possible, such that someone who is looking at your pitch deck, even without seeing you, would want to see you, would want to send a mail and invite you over. That's what you want to do. That's the work. That's what you want your pitch deck to do for you. So the next thing would be, who needs a pitch deck? So if you are very familiar with the ecosystem, there are lots of conversations around who is a startup and who is not a startup. Now, a startup needs a pitch deck. Small businesses don't necessarily need a pitch deck. And what's the difference? The difference is that the startups are essentially businesses that are leveraging innovation and technology to deliver solutions or services at scale. So they are looking to scale. What does scale mean? Scale simply means your ability to deliver your solution to a large audience, to a wide audience, to a large group of people, without necessarily increasing the resources that is required to deliver that solution. That is a simple way to define scale. So if I am taking this thing from this point to this point, how do I make sure that we can deliver more of this thing to more people without necessarily increasing the resources that is required to do that? That is scale. And a lot of times when people talk about, when this argument occurs about what a startup is and what a small business is, a lot of times I don't want to get into those discussions, but the truth is, if you want me to define a small business, then my simple definition would be small businesses are not necessarily scalable businesses. Examples of small businesses would be, for instance, you know, people running a studio, a design studio, or running a web shop, or a restaurant using physical locations to deliver their services. Those can come across as small businesses, right? Now, why are they small businesses? Because to deliver their models, they're leveraging existing business models, and to make, in order, there's a limit, there's a cap to how much they can grow. And in order for them to grow past that cap, they would have to increase the infrastructure that is delivering the service. But a startup, on the other hand, does not have those limitations. And that's the key difference between a startup and a small business. So, who needs a pitch deck? Whereas the small business would typically need plan, a business plan. The startup essentially needs the pitch deck. Now, why does a startup need a pitch deck and not a business plan? The reason is, if it is a startup, then it is leveraging innovation. If it is leveraging innovation, then there's a likelihood that the model does not already exist. The model does not exist. They are still trying to find the right model to deliver the solution. So there is literally nothing to plan for. You don't know what to plan. So, in terms of who needs a pitch deck, a startup needs a pitch deck, early stage businesses need a pitch deck, early stage startups need pitch decks. So, I have talked about pitch deck versus biz plan. Okay, no. So, pitch deck versus biz plans. So, a pitch deck is a simple document that helps to itemize or to give form to the ideas and the operations that you're currently trying to run as a startup. A business plan, on the other hand, is a projection that captures a lot of the things that you need to do, and the projections that you need to make happen, because you are leveraging an existing model, or you already know what to do, because you're a later stage startup. Later stage startups actually need biz plans, right? Because they already know what to do. Their model is validated. They now know the what to do, and so you can project, you can create a plan. Now, the biz plan and the startup and the pitch deck, I think the major difference between the pitch decks and the biz plan would be the projections. I think it's those financial projections that makes the major difference for me, right? So now, pitch decks and startup stages, early stage startups, in fact, all stages need pitch deck. But as you go close to the Series A's, the growth stage startups, which is, so the growth, you have the early stage startups, you have pre-seed, seed stage, then you have the growth stage, which is where you have the series, and then you have the late stage, which is the startups that are getting close to the exit stage, right? Now, anything from the series, from the growth stage downwards, would basically need both the pitch deck and more documents, in this case, business plans, right? Before you can raise fund in those rounds. So let me get into the core conversations now that those introductions are off the way. What is a pitch deck? A pitch deck, simply defined, is your startup story. It's simply your startup story. You can spin that startup story from any direction. However, you just need to know that your purpose of the pitch deck is to get attention from the beginning. Most investors, because you're going to send your pitch deck to investors, a lot of the investors need only 90 seconds to decide whether they want to continue to listen to you. I mean, they make up their mind whether they want to listen further or not within the first 90 seconds. And so you want to make sure that you grab their attention within that 90 seconds. And I think it's very important. This point is the most important point, obviously, that I'm going to make tonight. You want to grab their attention within 90 seconds. Now, a lot of times they may listen to you, they may be there physically and listening to you, but they have tuned off, they've signed off. They're just waiting for you to complete. Sometimes they may even ask you questions, and those questions they're asking you just to clarify and validate their assumptions, the assumptions you already got in the first 90 seconds. That's basically what it is. So you want to make sure that you grab attention within 90 seconds. So what should you do in order to grab attention within 90 seconds? And that's what I'm going to be covering in the next how many minutes that we still have remaining. So this is my ideal pitch deck structure that I'm going to be sharing with you. I like to see how many of you are still here. So can you just say hello on the chat? You know, use the emojis. Let me know that you're here so that I can. Let me know that you're here so that I can know that I'm not talking to myself, because it can feel lonely sometimes, right? So just say something. Yeah, welcome, Pat. Israel, great. Awesome. Creative Director, Pat Arch Concepts. Thank you very much for coming. But tell us where you're joining from, Pat. Okay. Now, these are my ideal. Great. These are my ideal. This is my ideal structure, and I'm going to share all of them with you in the next few minutes. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is, aside from the opening deck, obviously, that talks about your company, and a one-liner that talks about what you do, what I want you to do in the first deck is actually to present the market opportunity. Why do you want to present the market opportunity? You know, a lot of times I see people start by saying, you know, talking about the problem. Yes, it's not bad to talk about the problem. It's not bad to talk about the problem. It's one way. However, it's not the most effective way. It's not the most effective way. Talking about the problem is good, but not the most effective way. What is the most effective way for me? Because you are basically talking to investors that you want to invest. The investors are interested in how can they 10x or 25x their investment within 5 to 7 years maximum, right? How can they make their money back in 10-fold or in 25-fold within 5 to 7 years maximum, right? So one of the reasons they tune off instantly is when they cannot connect the dot as quickly as possible to see that there is a potential for them to make their money back as quickly as possible. So you want to show the proof as quickly as possible that there is an opportunity here. So you should frame the problem instead of just saying, oh, for example, instead of saying, which is what some people do, obviously, instead of just saying, my name is product fulfillment. What is this person trying to do? Okay, let me read the second person. The second person says, name Tuko, location Kano, business name, Vida drinks, service use, storage and dry program, challenge phase, long turnaround time and deadline. What is this person trying to do? This person is basically trying to show you the people who has the challenges that they're trying to solve. Now, this is fine, okay? This is fine. But guess what? it would be better if this person, as an investor, I would pay more attention to this person if this person was telling me the size of the problem in monetary terms. And what do I mean? So if you came to me and you said to me that 25 million households do not have access to electricity, and that these same households, they spend an average of $2 billion every month to get electricity, and yet the power they get is not serving their needs very well. Please tell me in the chat, between this presentation I just said now and the one I read before, which one will to get electricity that that is very inefficient, and they are looking for ways? The second person, the second one, exactly. The second one will grab your attention more. Why is that so? Because the second one is painting the problem and showing you the market in real terms. It's putting value to the market. It's telling you that 25 million households actually spend $2 billion to pay for inefficient electricity. Does that sound like a market you know? Does that sound like a market you know? Hello, guys. I like to hear you talk. Does that sound like a market you know? Who can tell me which market I'm describing? Who can tell me which market I just described? Hey, guys. Are you here? Are you here? Who can tell me which market I just described? Yeah. I hear you. Yes, but what I want to hear is, yeah, power and electricity. But that sounds more like our Nigerian contest, isn't it? That sounds like Nigeria. PHED, EEDC, Eco, whatever it is, Ikeja. Yeah, the power sector. That's what's happening in Nigeria. So imagine that you come to talk to an investor and you say 25 million households or 30 million households, they spend $2 billion every month to pay for inefficient power. And that they are looking that if they found a way to get efficient power at a very affordable cost, that they will jump on it. And that is what you are providing. I'm interested immediately. I want to hear you more. The next thing I want to do is I want to then know how are you solving this problem? What are you doing differently? What do you know that these people don't know? Those are the questions that I will start generating inside my mind as an investor, right? So I want to hear more. So I'll give you some tips on how to do this. So the first tip I'll give to you is that look for data around existing alternative solutions, right? To justify the market need for your solutions. Now, for those of you in the Startup Sal community, it is the reason why we look for reports, we look for data points, and we put them in the Slack channel, on the business resource Slack channel. We want you to be able to go there and do research and look for the data that corresponds to your business, to the startup that you're trying to build. We're trying to simplify things for you, providing you access to data. That's what the business resources channel on our Slack community, that's what it is doing. Some of you are not aware that you have such resources. So every time that we in the course of the things that we do, and we see a report, because these reports are published every time by different organizations. Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, they publish reports every time. Then different companies also publish reports. Today, almost every company is a data company. And when you also build your own startup, you should also know that you have a responsibility to also become a data company. That's why I like what House Africa is doing. For instance, I saw Nnamdi sharing something on his Facebook post just this evening before I started this call, and I just sent him a message I just sent a comment and I said, when are you publishing the report? Because you sit in a place where you can help people make sense of, you can help people publish data that they can use to make sense of things that they're working on. And that's why we are innovation driven. That's why we're innovation centered people. The fact that we can raise data for people. Now, a good market to solve in is one that is growing. Listen to me. Don't I keep telling people every time people go and say, "Oh, I have this stuff. I'm passionate about this," and because you're passionate is not the reason why you should do it. Passion is not enough, because whether you like it or not, this is a startup and it's first and foremost a business. You're looking for a business that can make money for you and investors. If it is not a business, then investors do not have any need investing. So what do you want? You want to look for a market that is growing. That's why so you should look for sectoral growth data. Like I said, in those data, look for sectoral growth data. Look for one with consistent positive CAGR, right? Cumulative average growth rate. Cumulative average growth rate. Look for sectors that have the consistent positive CAGR, so that you say it is growing on cumulatively, it's growing at 3% per annum, or it's growing at 5% every year, and it is expected to grow by 20% by 2030. That's the industry you want to be in. That's where you want to build startup in, right? So look for such data as a validator for what you're doing. Then highlight and itemize the problem you're solving. So that's when, after you've done this first thing I talked about, that's when you should list out what the pain points are, the identified pain points. That's when you should list them out. Okay? Now, I move to the second thing. Present your solution and unique value proposition next. So tell us what the solution is. What are you solving? What problem are you solving? What is the solution to the identified problem? Tell us how it works. Is at this point you tell us how the solution works, and then you should also tell us at this point why now is the best time to solve this problem. And what do we mean by that? You're basically discussing the trend I spoke about in the last slide. You're using the trends to justify the need to solve the problem now. The sector is growing. This event has happened. People are now moving to rural areas. People, because of increased internet penetration, more people are moving to rural areas because they now realize that they can work from anywhere, right? More companies are becoming more open to remote work. Things like that are things you need to use to justify what you are doing. So that is why now. So when they say, why now? Why is now the best time to do this? They're asking you to discuss the trend, okay? Discuss the trend. Let's move to the next one. Now, the next thing you should do is to discuss your target customers. You see the thing that the Jumbo guys did in the beginning, that first one that you say that you chose the second one. This is the best place to present that. Because now you want to discuss your target customer, right? Now, in addition to discussing your target customer, discuss a practical near to zero cost plan to reach this target market. Please be as creative as possible, especially if you're an early stage startup. Understand that it is not advisable to start burning money on marketing before you have validated your business model. Because if you spend money to acquire customers at this stage, you are probably going to be acquiring the wrong set of customers, right? So it is very advisable not to spend money to acquire your customers. Try as much as possible to make it organic. So what are the ways to do that? Look for events. Look for events that you can easily get into. Events that you can speak to the organizers. Look for things you can exchange, right? Sometimes you may not have the money, but there are things you can exchange in place of partnership in order to get access to the investors. What did Airbnb, how did Airbnb get to market? They simply targeted event. They targeted event. How did Uber become popular? They went to events, South by Southwest. South by Southwest. That's where they launched. They launched at that event. And almost everybody who attended that event wanted to try out Uber. Okay? Now, it's important that you look for such events. Host seminars, build communities. Before you launch, can you build a community? If you know you're going to launch in 3 months, can you start now to build a community? Host webinars. Share thought leadership. Create your funnel. Pour them into your funnel. These are your potential users, right? Build your community, engage them. Run context within your community. And then when you launch, let them be the first set of people. Then encourage them to share, to be your marketers, to talk to you. I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and I said to them, you don't need to pay money. You don't need to market. So the guy now said, yes, I understand it. So, for instance, when the first time I heard about Uber, out of curiosity, I wanted to try it out, and I tried it out, and they moved me from one place to the other, and this experience was exciting. And you know what? I told my friends about them, and my friends had to use it. You see, even if Uber, because by the time they came to Nigeria, they already knew who the market was because they had validated, right? But even if Uber had spent money to get that one person, because they had validated their market, they knew the exact type of people to target. And when they target those kind of people, the people are the ones who go to tell others. So you see, their unit economics is very, very low. It becomes very flat. Okay? That's what you're shooting for as a founder. All right? So be as creative as possible. Now, discuss your competitive landscape. A lot of times, founders will tell you, what I'm doing is so unique, I don't have any competitors. What you're simply saying is, I don't know what I'm doing. That's what you're saying. Because the truth is, whether you like it or not, regardless of how innovative what you're doing is, some people are already doing that thing in one form or the other. That need is already being met in one form or the other. And those forms constitute your competition. You must find out, you must do the work to find out how are they currently meeting those needs. Very, very important. Yes, Elwin, yes, build community. You can launch, not necessarily hence launch during an event. It can be both. Build your community. You can launch at an event. They are just basically strategies to launch. But in any case, it's very advisable that you should build your community. Very advisable. Build a community. You will always need them. Once you have those communities, they become your fans. Move them to become your fans. Your fans will be your chief marketers, unpaid marketers. That's what you're looking for. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who are using Apple products today because their friends evangelize them to use Apple. You want to get your supporter, your early customers to become your supporters and your fans, and get them to become your evangelists. That's what you want them to do. Okay? So show how you stand out from the competition and highlight key features and benefits. Okay? Discuss your marketing and sales strategy to reach your audience. I've talked about this before. Okay. So the next thing you should do is to present your business model. How will you make money? How will you make money? Tell us how you're going to make money. Explain how your company plans to make money. Provide details on pricing and revenue streams. It's very important. All right? The next thing you should do, please, as I speak, if you have questions, okay? If you have questions, thank you, Edwin, for repeating those things. I like that you're typing those things out. Thank you. Please, if you have questions, be dropping them. I can pause to take the questions so that we can flow together. But if not, at the end of my presentations, I will take those questions. All right? So please be dropping the questions. I like to know that you're there. Hit the love button, hit the like button, so I know that you're there. But one more thing I'd like for you to do, please share the link again so that we can have more people join this session. It's very important for us. Share the link and invite people. If you know you're getting value from this, please share the link and indicate the value you're getting so that more people can join, okay? So now the next and the most important part, and I'm going to dwell a bit here. I think this point is a great place to pause so that we can have more people join this session. Because this is where I find, as someone who runs an angel network, this is one of the most difficult places. I find this, I explain this a lot of times and people do not get it. So I'm going to pause here. Do me a favor, share the link now and ask people to join the session so that we can explain this part together. And what is the part? It's about traction. It's about traction and milestone. There are a few things I need to say about traction and milestone. I would like for all of you to please share the link now and tell me done in the comment. Let me know that you've shared the link in the comment. Okay, just say done if you've done that. There are 8 of you. If 8 of you invite one more person, there will be 16 of us on this call. And I want for that to happen. I'd like for us to have 16 people on this call. Before I start the traction, this is 9:11. I should restart this in about 2 minutes. Please take 2 minutes to do this. That's 120 seconds. All right? So in the meanwhile, those of you that, if you have questions, please leave it in the chat and I will take the question. Thank you. Elwin, thank you. Move your community from customers to supporters, from supporters to fans, from fans to ambassadors to food soldiers. If you get this right, you would discover that you don't need to pay. You don't need a high marketing budget to achieve your goal. If you get this right, this is very important. This is very important. 60 more 60 seconds more. 60 seconds more. Once it is 9:13, we'll move to the next slide. Thank you. I want to see people say done on the group. Just say done. Just say done. Just say done. Please let me know what you're getting from this. Just like Elwin, I would like for you to tell me in the chat what you're getting. Let's make this let's make it very, very interactive. Please tell me what you're getting. Please chat me up and let me. Thank you, Elwin. Thank you, Ipala app. Thank you very much. So guys, while we're waiting for the other people, can you tell me what you're getting so far? Just like Elwin, can everybody tell me what they're getting? Israel, can you tell me what you're getting from this session? Paul, can you tell me what you're getting so far? Yeah. Quick. Let's make that quick. Evans, if you're still here, I'd like to know what you're getting. The trading psychologist, please tell me what you're getting from the session. Okay. While you're typing, let me go straight to the next. Let me go straight to the next slide. And this is traction, the traction and milestone. Now, when we talk about traction, a lot of times, okay, let's say this. Okay, Pat says, my key takeaway so far, look for data around the solution your business has. Thank you, Pat. That's so awesome. Thank you. And that's so very, very, very well done. And it's very important, okay? Now, talking about traction, it's important that you share significant achievements, partnerships, milestones, and revenues that you have achieved. Now, traction encompasses all of these things I've talked about. So a lot of times people come to say, oh, why are you emphasizing revenue? Is revenue the only thing? No, revenue is not the only thing, but it's the most important thing. It's the most important thing. Now, whatever achievements that you have achieved, very important, you should be able to share it as traction. Partnerships that you have, they are traction. Awards that you've won, they are traction, right? But most importantly, the revenues. The revenues are very important. How much are you making? But here's the thing. Revenues provide evidence of market validation and customer interest. That's why it is very important. But there's something you need to know about revenue. That one person bought your stuff, even if the person bought $3 million worth of items from you, is not a good traction. It is not a good traction. That you have one customer that bought $3 million worth of stuff from you. Yes, you've made money, right? But that is not a good traction that would, it's not a good traction that will make any investor invest. Remember what we said about scale and what startups do, right? Now, the reason it is not a good traction is that you have one customer that your life depends on. Any day that customer decide that they're not buying from you anymore, your company is folded. Any day they say they're not buying again, the company dies. So now, you have two customers. They buy from you every month. They are just the people that buy from you every month. So month on month, there's no growth. Month on month, there's no growth. Not a good traction, not a good revenue traction. It shows that something is wrong. It's either that you have not found the right customer segment or the right customer audience to target, or you're not you're not selling the right way. So something is wrong. And so investors are going to be very wary of investing. The best traction are tractions that go like this. So even if it's not so steep, even if it's just a moderate climb, what does that mean? It means that today you sold one, tomorrow you sold two, next tomorrow you sold three, right? Now it's okay to maybe the next month you sell maybe two, but the next month you sell four, right? Now that kind of plot is what you are looking for. That's what investors are looking for. That kind of plot, steady, all right? That's what they are looking for in terms of revenue. So when you go and you say, I have made revenue, I have um, I have $2,000. When we go and look, it's only two people that gave you that $2,000 in 6 months. In the last 6 months, two people bought $2,000 worth of stuff from you. That's not revenue. That's not revenue. Okay? That's not revenue. Please give me 1 second. Okay? All right. Now, the next thing we will go to, let's see. So I have focus on places where you can find them in groups and target virality. What do I mean? In order to get this type of traction that we're talking about, you need to focus on places where you can find the customers that you want in group. That's why community is important. That's why building community is important. In building community, you are looking to attract the right kind of customers and putting them together so that as they become your evangelist, they would help drive your growth and effectively give you virality. That's what you want to shoot for. All right? All right. So the next thing you want to show on your pitch deck is your team. And I titled this Why Me? So it is your team. Now, in presenting your team, don't just give us the name. Don't just give me the names of the people in your team. And so, don't just tell me Uche Aniche. And the role is Chief Operating Officer. John Bosco Onunku, CFO. Whose person's name will I use again? Elwin Anora, CTO. No, that's not what we want to see. If you understand that a lot of early stage investing is actually an investment in the team and not investment in the product. I need you to note this down. A lot of early stage investing is an investment on the team and not investment in the product. Why is it an investment in the team? Because the investors understand that it is a startup. It is looking for a validation. It is looking for a business model that can scale. And then they also understand that there's a chance that that will not happen. And so they want to invest in a team that has the capacity and the tenacity to be able to pivot and find something else that would work. Okay? Find something else that will work if this other one is not working. So they can pivot and find something else that can work. So it's important. That's why they try to invest in a team. So now, when you want to showcase your team, what you should be showing us is the quality of the team. And how do you show us the quality of the team? You want to show us the expertise and the experience of the team, right? How do you do that? Tell us why they have worked. Tell us what they achieved where they worked. And so, and I'm not saying you should copy notes here. That's why, okay, I'm going to get to that later. That's why what you should do instead is put the logos of the companies where they have worked underneath their name. Then, if there are achievements, stellar achievements that you need to highlight, you can put them in bullet points. All right? So, speak to and highlight any major achievements by team members that closely support and inspire confidence about their competence and credibility. That's what you're shooting for. Then highlight any notable advisors or industry experts that is supporting your business. That's what you should do on this slide. Okay? Now, next thing, what is your ask? How much are you looking for? What is the projection? I know I told you that the difference between the plan and the deck is the detailed projections. That doesn't mean that you don't do projections on the deck. The difference is the detailed projections. So here, you're doing a high-level projection of what could be if everything goes according to plan. You're doing a high level for us. So you know what? We're raising money. You're raising $500,000 for 10% of your business, and you will use the money to grow your team, to grow the product, which is typically what a lot of raises at this stage is used for. Grow the product, grow the team, and then a bit of marketing, right? Now, if you ever go and tell the investors that a large chunk of the raise ask is going to go to marketing, you lost the plot. All right, you lost the plot, and you're probably going to leave without any chance of raising money. They will not talk to you. So it's important. The projection. So clearly state the amount of funding you need. Outline what the money will be used for. A pie chart will work here. So I will tell you later on. Please do not copy notes on your slide. Use more of bullet points. Do not try to be so verbose on your slide. Just use bullet points, and then make room for you to speak to each of the bullet points. Okay? Present realistic and well-supported financial growth forecast. Right? Realistic. So if you give us this money, based on what we're currently doing, we hope to make $2 million in 2 years' time. If you give us this money, all right? Let it be realistic. Discuss any key assumption. What are these projections? It is very important. So discuss the assumptions, okay? Now, this slide, I made a post about this slide earlier on my page, and I saw lots of interesting comments on it. Does an early stage startup need to include an exit strategy in their slide? The answer is yes. So just before this meeting started, I saw a post by somebody in our community, and and quite frankly, for those of you in the Startup Style Lounge, it was very, very those points were very, very succinct, right? But here's the thing. We are not asking you to tell us exactly how you're going to exit. That's not what you're being asked to do. What you're being asked to do is to show that you understand this space very well. And what do we mean by understanding the space? That if you tell me as an investor that if I invest in your startup, that you are looking to grow value to about 100x in the next 3 years, and then at that point you hope to raise additional rounds of funding, which will potentially value your business at maybe 20 times the investment amount. And at that time, that you'll be happy for the angel investors to exit. That is an exit plan, sir. That is an exit plan. And that shows that you are thoughtful. That shows that you are thoughtful and that you understand that the angel investors are in this to make money. It shows that you care about them. And so most investors will want to pay attention to you. All right? Now, one of the ways you can also support this exit strategy, is for you to research and find out which companies within this sector has been able to exit, and how did they exit? So it is important that you put this exit strategy. So I think it was Daniel. I think it was Daniel that made that post earlier today in the community. Daniel, I hope that you understand what I meant when I said the point the guy made was very succinct, but he was missing a few things. And I hope you can add the pieces together now to understand it. So it's important for us that happens. And for me, that is the end of my ideal pitch deck. The ideal pitch deck I would love to see. Okay, I like to add a few bonus tips. Right? Some people say you should include an appendix and pour every other thing inside the appendix. You may include additional resources like testimonials, endorsement, clips of supporting data, etc. Yes, you could do that. Then the other last thing I want to say is presentation matters. Presentation matters. You may have a brilliant content presented in a very stupid way, and nobody wants to look at it. So if you can, invest in design. Pay a good graphics designer that understands what a pitch deck is to help you do a design of your pitch deck. So I think at this point, I would like to take your questions. I'd like to take your questions at this point. Please, let me just go through some of the things that has been said. Paul says, firstly, we don't have to present the usual problem to the investor. We should research market growth data that will excite and persuade the investors. Correct. All right. Paint a picture of the problem and put the market data into it. Awesome. That summarizes it very well. That summarizes it very well for me, Elon. Thank you. Then this one says, can you include your, okay, yeah, Francisca is asking, can you include your tech partners under the team? They are not shareholders or co-founders, but projects are outsourced to them. So here's the thing. Thank you for this question, Francisca. Here's the thing. You may include them, but in all honesty, investors will care about your internal capacity. They will care about your internal capacity to run your project. All right. So a lot of investors will actually frown at you outsourcing your stuff. Even if you want to outsource, there must be somebody internally that has the capacity to follow up um, with external people, right? So, but even if for any reason you outsource, make sure that you own the IP and make sure you have a running contract with them that allows them to support you over time. All right. So in that case, you can include them and indicate the running that the running contract that you have with them. All right. That's very important. Paul Pat says, what if team members have no previous experience yet, but are really skilled, and the company is the first opportunity to express their skills? My sister, my brother, I believe Pat is a lady. So Pat, proof of experience is your history. All right, it's your history. Where have you worked? It's one of the reasons why I tell people the best founders are professionals that have worked in other places. I typically ask, don't go and get co-founders that, I mean, they don't have a job. The strength of the team. If you choose to get co-founders that don't have experience, it will tell on the strength of your team. If you build stuff and they are great, that's fine. People may look at it and overlook the strength of the team, but invariably, it will still count at some point. Okay? Then um, Daniel says a lot of early stage investments and investments to the team. Yes, that's very correct. Then, is there a link to join the community? Yes, please post the link. Those of you that have the link, post the link bit.ly/join S2C, and then you should get an email to join the Slack. Introduce yourself on Slack, and then indicate what city you're in and ask that the admin add you to your city community. Yes, Pat. I'm referring to members of the team because you mentioned that we talk about the expertise and experience. Yes, but that I know that's why you refer to them, and that's what I'm saying. It's okay if you already have them. I'm not asking you to go and sack them or chase them away. I'm just saying for those of you that are going to start a new company, there's always a first time for everybody, yes, but it's best that you get professionals on your team, right? Get professionals that have a history. So sometimes again, if your company may not be the first company they've worked in. Some of them are volunteered in other capacities. Why don't you indicate those places where they volunteer? Because your goal is to tell the investors that this team has experience and they've done similar projects in the past. That's what the investors are looking to see. All right. So a lot of times it's about how you present your people. Some of them are volunteered in their churches doing some of these things. Why don't you indicate it? Okay. So those are some of the hacks you can use. Okay. So anybody else has any question? Anybody else has any question? So I'd like to hear some more what you're taking away from this. Pat, was that helpful? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Pat. Thank you. Thank you. So, yep. Thank you, everyone. For those of you that want to join the community, I'm going to share the slide. So let me share a link to the slide so that you can Let me share a link to the slide so that you are able to, so that you're able, I'll share the link now. Yeah, I'm just going to share the link, and I'm going to put the link on the. I'm going to pin the link here, so you can just go get it and use it. Any more question before we round up? Awesome. I'm happy. Want us to do these sessions again, this type of sessions more. If you if you love for us to do more of this kind of sessions, please let me know. Yep. Thank you. All right. I've pinned the slide. I've pinned the slide also. So you can go check out the slide now. So I think that, so let me use this opportunity to invite all of you to the hangout on Saturday. If you're in Port Harcourt, you can register to join the hangout on Saturday. Let us end the year with a hangout. So those of you in Port Harcourt, I've just shared the link to register for that. And then let me also announce that in 2024, start in January 2024, we're going to start and officially, I'm going to start an incubation and an acceleration program for those of you that would want to build a high scale venture. Um, we're going to be starting officially an incubation and an advisory program. So basically, it's an incubation and an investment readiness program for people who are, you know, building something significant. I'll take you on my wings. I'll take you on my wings. I'll teach you for 3 months. We'll teach you for 3 months, get you in front, get some of my mentors and my contact to also mentor you and support you. And then at the end of the 3 months, we'll put you whatever I've taught you today, it's just like a glimpse of what you're going to be learning in that 12 months. And at the end of it all, we're going to take you and put you in front of investors and support you through the process to be able to get investment. All right. So it's a two-part thing. The first one is the 3 months. It's a 3 month session. And then the second part is the advisory session that is about 2 years long. Those of you that are interested, you can send me a personal DM and I'll tell you how that is going to run. Okay. So thank you, everyone. So just send me a DM and I'll give you details of how that is going to run. People are already, I think we already have like 4 or 5 startups that have already applied to join the session. So hopefully we can get more of you join so we can make it a lot more robust for everybody. And also, you can also support yourselves. All right. So that's what it's going to be. I'm going to run. I asked the question, how many of you would love for us to do more of these kind of sessions? Please let me know on the chat. Just enter in the chat if you love and tell me what you want to learn more. What would you want to learn next? Maybe I can give you options. Yep. What would you want to learn next? We can, so between idea validation, um, idea validation, we've discussed this thing today, managing investors, financial modeling and projection, right? How to calculate market size, okay? How to calculate market size, awesome. Okay, so I think that if you want to see how to calculate market size next, then type it. I want to see how many people want to do that. So we have financial modeling and projection. I typed in idea validation. Francisca says market size calculation. Now, any of these three that you want for us to do next, can you type it in the chat? So can you vote by typing it so that we'll see which one you want to do, you would love for us to do next? Charles Dara says market size, right? Okay, that's a second vote for that. Who else wants market size or something else? Yeah, Charles, I saw you. That's still one vote. Okay, more votes and we're done. So thank you, everyone. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. So I think we'll call it a wrap now. We'll call it a wrap now. So if you're already in the community, we'll continue the conversation in the community. If you're not, please join. You can scroll up and see the link to join. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, modeling and projection. I've seen that. So that's two too. So let's continue the conversation in the community. Thank you, everyone. I love you all. Thank you. All right. Bye. You can say your byes now. Bye, everyone. Yes. Good night.